Greetings, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFibs.com to bring you the daily trend for week 37, day 2. It is September 13th, 2016. As always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only, to support your knowledge in the market. See what's going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. Well, what a day it was. Let's take a look at the AD line as price action came down there after a rebounding session, after a Friday session all the way down back to back. There was the AD line downside. It's a little bit off to the left here. Price action yesterday rebounding, and we just brought it all the way back down for the most part, but pretty much inside session. As we could see here, we hit those fib targets downside only here on the ES. Fib target low, nice bounce right off the bottom. We'll go ahead and show you that chart today. As price action and the daily gaps here, we could see price action again. There it was, leaving that major big open hole as contract rollover continues into Friday, quad witching on Friday. But again, look at these long daily candles as price action on Friday, downside, upside yesterday, and pretty much inside action within yesterday's candle. All right, let's take a look at some of those stats here for the day as price action on the live trading room here. More ticks than usual. No major econ data to report today. And was one market today focusing on the NQ. That was it. Lots of entries, 10 in all, way beyond my usual number. But again, for a total of 331, I'm pretty surprised that actually we're able to get some successful trades out of that. Look at those numbers there. No two-tick trades today. A couple long ones. Probably would have fared better if price action had actually gone in and out today. But hey, let's take a look at some of those setups. There was the pretty much the session. As you can see, a lot of chop here. This again is on a higher time frame. I probably would not have been able to fit all the setups here, but you can get the overall picture of the downtrend today. There's the T350 to the downside. So again, looking for the majority of setups either below or above with as many charts in sync. Did not make it an easy session at all. There's some of the bigger time frames. Bigger time frame chart here starting on the ES again. 1.1 is just another setup to the downside underneath the T350. So getting a couple of trends downside, reading the HA candles and Heikin Ashi to keep you in the trend. Not interested in the counter trends. What I'm leaving out of the charts here again is a lot of the other moving averages and perhaps a Globex high or Globex low or Camarilla pivot. So, but just to get the overall appreciation for where trend was today, and towards the latter part of the session became pretty volatile. A lot of whip snap action actually several times today. There's our YM to the downside. Nice trending session. Again, larger time frame, downside, another re-entry, and then towards the latter part of the session, as we saw there. And there is, did we pull up the same chart? I think I pulled up the same chart. All right, so NQ will come to, let's roll down. I think I had the same, I might have posted the same picture here, and that's what happened. All right, I got to fix that. Anyway. Let's jump right in today in NQ as we saw price action come down here. This was the AM session on the NQ again, as we saw on the ES and the YM post. Here was a sell signal, always going for the re-entries to the downside, but we had a daily 50 period moving average that we were fighting today. So pretty much just coming off early front run that, and was pretty successful. Price action didn't run, take me out at the either crossover or break even, so wasn't able to get a runner. Like I said before, would have probably fared better, more ticks if it just went in and out, but you just never know when you're going to get that runner. Nice sell signal here as price action hit the Globex low, and then but went ahead with the entry under the daily 50 period moving average, and then hung in there with a couple of indecision bars all the way downside. Again, we were looking at cam pivot down here, excuse me, and then pretty much towards the sat out the chop and finally decided to let it go after crossing above the T350 here. PM session, not that much better here. We had a couple entries above the 144 and then Q again backed outside underneath the T350 with a sell signal. Rebound off the daily 50 SMA, took a short. Another long up above the T350 here a little bit, and pretty much left the rest of the session out. All right, where are we at? Nice way of looking, and again, what's the goal of day strategy of any day in migrating towards knowing where the bigger picture here. Here we have the ES. The ES with price action. Again, this is majority of July and August. You can see a little bit of a resistance here off the T350, something that we use intraday. But again, the strategy here migrating towards the idea that if we could splice into a bigger time frame and just let it ride instead of intraday chops, that would be the long-term goal for an intraday trader or a short-term position holder. ES here, you can see in the last couple sessions, Friday session, resistance off the T350 coming down. This is a 100-tick range chart. Price action bounces up to a key moving average and then right back down. So again, if we had taken a look, again, we talk about hypotheticals, but, you know, today you look on the charts and you say, well, what if I had taken the short to the downside from the high? Not bad entry. You just never know when price action will come and take you out. So let's jump right into the daily trends as we'll start out here with the crude today. Crude again, sell signal downside, overnight position, not bad, giving us a Globex Globex range there as U.S. markets opened up there, top of the hour. And again, looking for the highest possible entry, 5 charts in the red. Not many, sometimes a little bit of a pseudo setup there, or you're looking, you got a solid Heikin-Ashi bar downside trend and doesn't go anywhere. Well, sometimes there is a loss on the setups. But again, you're underneath the T350. Maybe you grab the early entry out underneath the Globex low and just, hey, sometimes it's just not a winner. Very much range bound today, so I can't say looking at crude today had anything successful other than pretty much staying within the range. Taking a look at the gold. Gold, a nice mover here. Much more trending than we saw just on the crude. Sell signal downside, Heikin-Ashi bar. 5 charts in the red. You go with it. Place your stop at once you got a contract off, or you run them all. Your stops move to a no loss trade, so that your price is either at break even and then pull back, whether you are stopped out or not. But again, we can see gold for the nice majority part of the day to the downside underneath the T350. So momentum on the gold to the downside with entries to the downside. ZN on the bonds, again, price action for the majority of the session. Nice move here, solid body tail down, 5 charts in the red. That's all you needed for a piece of the pie there. YM again, very, very choppy. Too many setups for my taste here on any given session. But hey, as long as you kept to either the setups underneath the T350 or above, not bad. It was just a matter of how you manage the trades on the way down. Take a look at the NQ, same picture as we just saw the larger time frame here. We could see on the intraday a lot of setup sell signal. But as I went back and said, here was the early morning session, 25-minute open range set up all the way up here. We really never came back and saw it. First entry was below the T350 here. Even so, price action never bouncing back. So if you're looking at the bigger time frame, whether it's a 100-tick or 50-tick range chart, and you splice into the intraday, you might not be looking at it necessarily a 10-tick range chart. You might be looking at a 15 or 20-tick range chart to hold on for the long term, or at least intraday if you get a nice trending session. All right, overall NQ pretty choppy. ES, again, we saw that move. Oh, by the way, let's go back to the NQ. We were talking before on the charts, as we've seen price action. Again, we had a 50-period moving average, and we had a cam low down here around 46. I think it was 46. I can't get the number right off the top of my head. I think it was, I actually think it was more up here. I'll have to go back and look at my charts. But anyway, NQ coming down to the cam low. Let's go back. Actually, I do want to know. Let's go back to the charts that we just saw. There it was, 46.97, I believe it was. Somewhere around there. Yeah, as price action came down here around 12:30. Let's go back to the charts, and yeah, there it is. All right, so we're dealing with a cam low down in this area as well. So that was a big resistance overall today, but not hitting the Fibonacci targets downside. All right, taking a look at the ES. ES again, very nice smooth price action. This is again a little bit higher time frame, looking on a 6.3 versus a 5.0. If I go to the 5.0, you'll see a lot of noise. Again, if you're getting a lot of noise on the chart, sometimes best to just go to a little bit of higher time frame. Here we can see Let me squeeze up the whole entire session, then you can see, wow, a lot of setups today on the charts. So if the higher time frame works for you, sometimes better, but sell signals underneath, sell signals underneath the T350, sell signal here on the ES. Again, learning to ride it instead of just going in and out. All right, quickly, let's take a look at the mid-cap 400 coming downside. Again, nice entries to the downside, 5 charts in the red. You got a buy signal back upside. Again, a lot of whip snap in the mid-session towards the end. Buy signal to the upside up here, gave you a couple ticks. Take a look at the 6E euro, very choppy inside the range. Probably would have never gotten anything off on that. Take a look at the yen again to the downside. We'll take a look at the big picture as we've been talking about yen still going with the momentum to the downside. There was your yen. Again, Bank of Japan coming up with its news next week together with the Fed, but it's all been downside on the yen with 5 charts in the red. Take a look at the beans. Very nice and smooth on the beans, but again, very range bound. Not much price action to you today. Sell signal here, pull back, and then there's the bar right there at about 9:50, 10 o'clock. Price action to the downside on all 5 charts in the red. All right, take a look at the natty gas. Again, very choppy inside the range as we come up with data there on Thursday. Natty gas, again, you're looking for entries. Look either below or above the T350. Look for key moving averages. And platinum, again, nice move on the platinum to the downside here as the majority of the indices and charts we see today to the downside. Sell signal on 5 charts in the red. Yeah, you tried to get something going here. You might have held on, placed a stop at the swing size. Maybe you were taken out. Either way, trying to get the runner on to the downside. And here we go, last trade of the day here towards the afternoon session. All right, as we go into the daily big pick, overall, current momentum across the board on the 3 indices. I still have to go with the downside. Still have to go with the downside, guys. Even though bigger picture is, yeah, it's still downside, right? We just saw that ES 100-tick chart. Resistance here at the 50. We're in between the 50-200 gap on both the YM and NQ on good volume today, but in the red and to the downside. After resistance here and 100 tick, I have to go with the momentum. Now, it doesn't mean that price action tomorrow is going to come back up. I just have to go with the momentum, which is the current trend to the downside. As a short-term position holder, you might have taken the fade off the T350 and looking in the intraday setup. Yesterday off the high. But here we are, we have a T310, the T310 being the intraday pullback, which is now in the green. So we'll have to watch to see what the overnight session does. And as we lead into regular trade now, we'll see if we're coming up to any of these key moving averages. If overnight takes us up to these key moving averages, then resistance is on. Watch the intraday for both directions. But for now, I got to go with the downside, and NQ just barely holding on here by a thread at the 50-period moving average. Taking a look at the crude as we head into EIA tomorrow. Price action got to go with the momentum still to the downside, but again, we had momentum downside, pulled back upside. Pretty much consolidation now on the crude, holding above the 50 on pretty good volume today, so momentum. Pull back in a 50 above 144. I got to go with indecision now on the crude on a 4-hour chart, but again, leaning more towards the upside as we find support at the 50 as well as the 144, but just on a small pullback here, but 50 is still above the 144, so I got the green background, so I got to go with the upside. And as we have all week, gold, I got to go with the downside. We're back inside the 50-200 gap, and yen migrating to that 200 after we've talked about the last couple sessions, coming back downside and 50 below the 144. And wrapping it up on the EMD mid-cap 400, still to the downside. I can't change, as we saw the European charts there. The 6E, again, inside the gap, very tough price action to migrate out of, so we got to go with indecision time. Still leaning downside, 50 though above 144 and still above the 50 and 200. So the overall momentum is still to the upside on pullback, but consolidation inside the 4-hour leads me to hold off. And then the yen definitely to the downside, but watch for the hold here at T350. 50 below the 144, but I still have to go with the momentum on the yen to the downside. All right, heading into tomorrow, economic data, not much. EIA, MBA mortgage applications, short Wednesday as we head into Thursday. A couple more Red Star events, Philly Fed, and then quad witching on Friday. All volume returns will be in the new contract next week. Yeah, next week as we head into the third week here, it's big. It's FOMC, it's Bank of Japan, and that should set the week off. is anytime a Fed speaker gets in front of the panel, or we got Fed minutes, Fed announcements, that's sure to move things. All right, a lot of information packed in. If you guys are interested in joining us in the trading room to see this live, feel free to email me, David at tradingfibs.com. To receive a special invitation. Otherwise, every day looking for an intraday setup, and as we said at the beginning, looking for that, knowing where that bigger trend is, trying to splice in on an intraday. That's the ultimate goal, but we're ready in both directions each day. A day like today, not one of my favorites, but went ahead and tested my abilities to recognize all good setups and see if I can hang in there, and not bad. Not bad today. Usually 1 to 2 setups is a good enough session with a nice runner on. So that's where the goal is. All right, that concludes an insight into the daily trend. Feel free to stop by at tradingfibs.com or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. My mantra is to keep it simple. Any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined. You can find me every day on Twitter at TradingFibs. As always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. I only trade what's in front of me and on my charts. Hey guys, I leave the bias at the door when trading. I have no clue where we're going tomorrow. I know where the momentum is today. I was ready in both directions. Tomorrow I have absolutely no clue, so I'll be ready for either direction tomorrow. Have yourselves a blue zone day wherever you may be. Good day, good night, and good trading to ya.